whole team is still asleep upstairs, so you get a lower body day in, more of a dynamic kind of speed day. Some jumping, some box squats with bands, and just get moving. A little lower body dynamic effort, bouncing around. Oh. These prep sessions, getting ready to actually train, changed for me back in the day. So I used to get to the gym an hour early, spend an hour plus doing mobility and warming up and all sorts of shit, mostly just bullshitting, but that was kind of my MO, is you get there early and spend a bunch of time getting ready, then go all in on the training, spend a little extra time afterwards foam rolling and getting right, doing recovery, but I don't have the window for it. I want to come down and get it going. The hardest part for me coming down in the mornings is just getting the engine turned over to start. So I kind of changed up my mentality with warm-up sessions, call them cold start preps, just like turning a cold engine over. I just want to get the oil flowing. So stuff that's relatively low skill, easier barrier to entry to get going and get the blood flowing. Hopping on the assault bike for 3 minutes, some sort of row for calories or meters. Just shit that I know is easy for me to do. And really the hardest part is just getting on it and starting. Ooh. Once we do get moving, it's easy to roll right into it for me. But it's spending 10 minutes dedicated to whatever it is we're going to do that day to make sure the body is prepped and ready to go. But definitely I'm not spending any time in the mornings laying on a foam roller or doing mobility and couch stretches. I want to get right into it. Got these padded blocks a long time ago. They're one of the best investments. Hey, I haven't shredded my shit on a box in fucking years, but they're light, they're easy, the girls can climb on them, use them for obstacle courses and all that shit. And then we can still use them for the training. Even with jerk blocks, even with jerk blocks, pressing, set them up on either side. Worth the bread. Part of the squat prep, we're getting ready to do the lower body squat. It's just activating the nervous system for me in the mornings. You get the prep going, you get the body moving, then you go into shit that's going to fire the central nervous system just to get it ready for what we're about to load on it. Last set here. 3 sets of 3 trap bar jumps, or in a 1 box jump, release it. One, oh shit. It's the downside of these things, they're not heavy, so gotta make sure you're centered on them. So all of the safety squat bar, that yoke looking bar, for a bunch of banded box squats. But to set up these bands, I'm gonna use the heavier kettlebells. Just the best way that I've found to anchor them. I'm not squatting in between this rack. I could probably attach them to the middle, but based on how we're set up in here, I like using these 106-pound kettlebells, wrapping the bands around them. Just make sure they're even with where I'm gonna squat. All right. On 5 sets of 3 reps against the band, increasing the percentage weight across all 3. One of the biggest game changers for me with my training down here was putting everything on the clock. So we're going to do 5 total working sets. It'll take 3, 4-ish warm-up sets to get there, but I'm going to rest about a minute and a half, 90 seconds to 2 minutes in between each one of these sets. So of that 5, I mean, we need at least 15 to 20 minutes to do these the right way. So if you're looking at it from a whole scope of, if I'm trying to train in under an hour, I want to make sure the heart of what I'm trying to do that day, plus all the accessory or whatever the training is, fits the right way in that window. And I mean, I wouldn't be able to do it without a clock. So. Now the tricky part, strap these bands up. All right, here we go. 5 sets, 2 minutes each round, 10 minutes total. Now that we're in it. Jack the weight up. Two. Oh, just get this fucking thing out of the way. That's it. Just fuck around with some cleans in between. Sure, we're squared up and perpendicular. Landmine comes up, goblet position, and from here, just sinking the hip down and back, coming back up. I like to think of it on these Cossack squats or anything lateral, just sinking the hip down and back in. So sinking it down and back as far as the range of motion you got, sinking down and back. It's less focusing on the quad, squatting down, and more of that hinge into the squat, into the quad, into the squat on each side. core stays tight the entire way through. Damn. I think that was 14. I might have lost count. Then we roll directly over here. Look at these guys. On the heavier front. 15 total. One more set. Each one of these rounds takes about 2 minutes even. So we do the lateral squats directly into the reverse hypers. Takes about 2 minutes, and we go 1-to-1 on the rest. So resting for 2 minutes before we go back in. So the whole thing, 3 times 4 will take 12 minutes. Oh, 14 more. Last things last, we got bracing for the core. You know, Tabata sandbag zercher or front rack hold, whatever you want to call it. Clean that sandbag up, hold it, hold it, hold it, and then drop. We're going to go 20 seconds of holding, 10 seconds of rest, 4 total minutes. Wouldn't be bad on its own, but after all that other stuff, feels a little heavier. Oh. Make sure the clean up is right on the beat at the start of that 20-second work. I think the big thing I try to think about when I'm doing these is making sure I'm bracing my core and keeping the weight in front instead of leaning back and putting it all in my lower back. Just make sure the core brace goes down from the sandbag all the way to the floor and then from the floor back up. I'm not trying to leverage any of that. All right, that's a wrap. See how long we got. 57 minutes on the nose. Let's go get the girls.